Welcome to the Hyperbeat podcast. Each episode, we chat with fitness professionals to get the story behind the business they created.
All right, guys, Nick Tate here, back with episode 7 of the Hyperbeat podcast. Today, we're chatting with Alicia Christie of Unleash Fit Living. Alicia trains, motivates, and inspires busy women towards thinking, eating, and moving well. She has a passion for implementing holistic and doable wellness strategies. Today, we chat about her goals, what motivates her, why she started Unleash, and we discuss her postpartum fitness journey following the birth of her baby boy, Leo. I started off by asking Alicia what she was doing before she started Unleash.
So before I started Unleash, I was actually a high school teacher, and I was teaching down in Newcastle for a couple of years, and then my husband got a job up here at Tweed Heads, and so we moved up and I did another year of teaching. And yeah, that year was just a really challenging one. I had already decided before coming up that I would do my Cert 3 and 4 in PT. So I actually kind of did it in the holidays, in the school holidays in that year. By the end of the year, I was just kind of done with teaching.
What were you teaching at high school?
Yeah, so that year I was teaching junior English and senior studies of religion.
Okay, so you had you weren't the PE teacher,
No.
for example.
I wasn't even, which funnily enough, looking back, if I was to do my degree again, I would have done like food tech and PE.
Okay. Yep.
You know, they're the things I'm really I was passionate about studies of religion, and I was good at English at school, so I just assumed that I'd enjoy teaching it. But the English particularly, I just didn't enjoy it. It's very full on. And it was, I loved kids, but it was the paperwork side of teaching that just consumed your life. And I just felt like I didn't have time for any of my other passions. So I thought I'd kick that to the curb.
So did you start Unleash while you were still teaching, or did you wait until you finished up teaching to really get stuck into it?
I waited till I finished. So I quit full time, and the great thing is I can still casual teach today if I want. So I've been casual teaching, but so I quit full time. Then the following year, which I think was 2015, I completed Cert 4 and got that done by halfway through the year. And so in that sort of first half of the year, I was sort of setting up Unleash essentially. And then, sort of from there, continued on just basically focusing on the business ever since then.
When you started, did you have some clients already, or did you know a few people? How did you actually get the word out and the business off the ground?
Before I even started, actually, I'd been, I was amongst all my friends and everything, I was kind of known as a bit of, gym junkie, into health. Like I'd done some health presentations and stuff already. I'd unofficially trained one of my friends to get her ready for her wedding, and she lost 10 kilos and looked amazing, and that was just she wasn't paying me. I just did it because I loved it.
You're a good friend.
So it was a bit of a natural transition into this industry. And when I did kind of kick it off, thankfully, because I was sort of part of the school community already, and the school's like a private Christian school, so it was connected to quite a large church community as well. It was a real blessing because I already sort of naturally had connections. And so in that first year, I had a couple of clients who were colleagues from school, and also I was able to run some group fitness challenges through the wider church community that was sort of for anyone, but it kind of had a base of people to invite. Really.
Okay. So do you think it took 6 months, or how long did it actually take before you were up and running and you had a sustainable client base?
Good question. So that first 6 months I basically was doing my own thing, so just putting the word out, Facebook connections I had in the community, and then friends and family, where we all start.
Yep, of course.
Then the next year I got a job at a gym in town, a new one that opened up. So that year I worked out of the gym, but what was really interesting was I was getting more leads through my own advertising than I was through the gym. The gym, it was just not set up super well. I think the management wasn't great, to be honest. And when new clients would come to the gym, obviously on the form they'd have that little tick box, do you want to complimentary PT session and program written up.
We've all seen that.
You get all those leads, but most of those people, they're not actually interested in a paid program. They just want something free because it's being offered. So ended up doing hundreds of those, but converting hardly any. And that was a big lesson for me too. I was like, well, how do you convert these people? So I really put effort into doing that, but I found that my Facebook ads and things like that and referrals was working better. So I think I put one ad out in the first half of that year, and I had about 16 leads come in one day. And out of those 16 leads, the ones that picked up the phone and answered, I converted 100% of those to a meetup.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which was really cool. And then from the meetup, I think the ones that actually came to the meetup, so even though they all converted and said they'd come, not all of them it ended up, but out of the ones that did, all of them converted to clients. So I felt like, oh, okay, I'm onto something good. So at one point there, I think I had about 20 clients with a mix of one-on-one and two-on-one sessions. That was pretty good. Like I had a fairly decent income coming in from that. So yeah.
So the Facebook ad that you ran, was it a paid ad, or was it more of an organic?
No, it was more organic.
Oh,
I
really?
actually just put out. It was a Woofu form, and I don't know if you've heard of Kelly Sanders. She's like the guru women in fitness business coach, and I bought her program, her coaching program that sort of gave you steps and tools on how to build a business. And one of her strategies was to do this Woofu form that basically is very specific, saying I'm looking for 10 women aged this to this who want this, this, and this, and if you can apply here, basically. And so people just basically click the link, fill out the form, which was pretty much just their details and what goals they wanted to achieve, and then at the end said you'll get contacted.
Okay, so just taking one step back, for those who don't know what a Woofu form is, can you just drill down on that a little bit?
Sure. A Woofu form is just a free tool on the internet that's basically a questionnaire, a survey that you can set up that then has a link that you can place anywhere in your emails, on Facebook, and it takes, when people click it, so you can put whatever copy you want with that link, like, answer these 3 questions, or I'm looking for these people. They click the link, it then just takes them to a page that is a form, a survey form, and you can choose what's in it. It's all customizable. And once they fill it out, Woofu sends you the details to your email. And then you have the lead sitting there with their name and phone number and what goals they want to achieve, or whatever, whatever you've asked for.
Yeah, so, cool. Oh, that's a nice little tip there for people who might want to use that application.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. So moving forward from there, are you now full time in the business?
No. So, well, it's funny. I think when you own a business, you kind of you're never not full time. But for me, I've never.
You're always thinking about it.
It's just it's constantly there. Yep. You never switch off. Teaching was stressful, and I thought getting into a business I was passionate about would be way less stressful because I love it and all this stuff. And then I was like, I felt like I went back to kindergarten learning how to run a business,
There's a lot to do.
Teaching. So it's been evolving so much over the last 4 or 5 years. So at the moment, where I'm at with it is I just had my first little boy.
Congratulations. We were talking about that pre-show.
Yeah, he's just the best. So having a kid, as I'm sure any of the listeners and who've got kids, like, life changes big time.
You're beholden to a little person.
Yes, exactly. So at the moment where I'm sitting with it is I'm just running one local program for the staff at a school, actually, at a term challenge.
Yep.
And I've put on hold my local sessions and group coaching stuff because I just wanted to enjoy this time with Leo, not be stressing. And the good thing is, from not too long after I started the business, I really started to go into the online side of things. So I've been able to continue with some of that. Of course, like having a website up that has digital products and programs on it is great because it's there, and then I just need to be putting it out there for people.
So I had a look online through your website last night. You're doing quite a few ebooks. How are they working for you?
Yeah, pretty well. The teacher and the creative side of me loves putting them together. It's actually super fun. But yeah, getting them out there, I'm still learning really how to market them well, and I'm constantly listening to webinars and things like that. So this year is going to be a lot more focused on that. I think just doing some launches, even though they already exist, but
just reminding
basically,
people they're out there.
Yeah, reminding people, serving them with free content that's related to the product, and over like a month or so, and then inviting them to purchase if it's something that's going to help them.
Yeah, look, it's a really nice idea to put all your information together in one easy to use platform for people to guide themselves and then use that with what they're wanting to achieve. So it's a really nice idea.
Yeah.
So,
and what I've done with that is as well, some of those ebooks are challenges. So, for example, there's the sugar-free challenge that's on there. Basically, it's an ebook, but I launch it with a start date that we do together as a group. So you're not actually doing that alone, which is cool. And the 21-day challenge is the same. It's more holistic with like how to think, eat, and move well over 21 days. So what we do is, we have a start date, launch it, and then we're all in a Facebook group together going through each daily challenge together, which just really helps with that motivation and accountability as well.
Yeah, I think creating a Facebook group is a really nice idea. It gives people a platform to talk about challenges they might be having with their goals and what they're working towards. It's a nice, safe place for people to bounce their ideas.
Totally, yeah.
Prior to falling pregnant, how many hours were you involved in the business?
A lot. I would say probably 40 to 50 a week.
Yeah, okay. So it was a full-time operation.
It's full-time, but yeah, it's funny because, over time I've been learning that like a passion is awesome, but a business makes money. And so joining them together is the sweet spot, but learning how to do that in a way. So for example, if I was to break down how much I was really earning, or, if I was to pay myself for those hours, I worked it out. I read a book on this last year, about halfway through the year, and I worked it out that I was really only earning about $10 an hour.
Yeah. I think, what's the old saying? You work 100 hours a week so you don't have to work 40 hours for somebody else.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so that's sort of how it looks.
I'm sure a lot of small business owners can relate to that. All right, well, let's really get stuck in and do a bit of a deep dive on what Unleash actually does, its purpose, and what you're hoping to achieve with it, or are achieving with it.
Right from the beginning, what has really driven me to start Unleash has been a really deep-seated passion to see people's lives change. And when I first completed my certs in personal training, I was doing the fitness thing. I was already on like a health journey in terms of holistically with mindset and nutrition and food. But, so starting with the PT, I quickly realized that exercise was really not the full answer for what people really needed to change. And I was, I'd chosen right from the start. I only wanted to work with females, just that was who I was passionate about helping. And very quickly, I realized that the exercise was actually not necessarily the hardest part to change. It was more how they thought about themselves, how they perceived their own value, their body, how they allowed others to perceive themselves, and then that impact how they felt about themselves and therefore how they acted. So yeah, it was really in those first few months, I realized, wow, like I would love to just help empower women to transform the way that they see themselves first and foremost, and then to realize that they've got unlimited and untapped potential to become the very best ideal person and the version of themselves. And the tools by which they can do that are through mindset change, turning around the habits when it comes to food, and of course a great exercise program. So that's sort of where it's come to, where I just realized, it's bigger than just fitness. And so even though it's kind of been interesting, I started technically as a personal trainer, but now I actually don't even call myself that anymore. I call myself a holistic health coach, because for me, it's so much broader the way that I am helping people change their lives. But it's great that I've got that exercise background, because putting that exercise program, matching that to what that person's needs are, is sort of the easy part. And then it's really delving into you can exercise, say, 3 times a week for an hour. And if you're doing it right, you can be getting results, right? But if you're not eating well. Like, you eat at least 3 times a day, most people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a daily practice and habit. If that's not changing, you're not going to actually end up seeing amazing results. You might get some results, but they could be so much better if the food habits are going along with that.
Yeah, so it's more of a high level view of someone's overarching
Yeah.
habits. Okay, so Alicia, you've obviously had a baby boy and you're moving towards some postpartum inspiration for other mums. How's that been working for you?
Yeah, it's been so interesting, the journey, hey, of becoming a mum. It is truly something that until you've gone through it, you don't totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
And before I had Leo, I was passionate about helping mums. I have so many friends with kids, and, that battle of trying to, eat healthy and fit exercise in, and all those things were such a struggle for them.
And sleep.
And, yeah, exactly. Sleep deprivation. Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to help them, and I was putting things together that I was hoping would be helpful, but I really I wasn't knowing that from experience, I guess. And I guess one thing that was very interesting was, obviously, before I had Leo, in my head, I had these plans of how things would go post-birth in terms of getting back to my pre-baby body and all these things. And that's what's probably changed the most, is my perception of that journey. And I think, so beforehand, I was like, like I really was already a big believer in what they call the 4th trimester, which is the first 3 months after birth, which is a time for you to just rest and repair and relax and connect with your baby, and really not focus on anything else in your life besides being a mum and getting your head around that, because that's big enough.
Yeah, of course.
So that was my approach already. So I already didn't have any pressure on myself in those first 3 months, and just went with things and whatever. But what I realized, I got to the end of 3 months and I was still, like, when it came to exercise, for example, I was walking here and there. I tried a couple of home workouts that were fine, I guess, just your general push-ups and squats and things. But I quickly learned, actually, after the birth, that I had some issues with my right hip.
Okay.
And I'd had issues with it in the past. I'd seen a physio and had done some things before I was even pregnant. But the birth, I think, you're doing a big workout for that birth.
You certainly are.
And so it kind of got aggravated again. So I saw a physio after Leo was born, maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks after, and she confirmed, you've got a bit of bursitis on your hip. So her recommendations was, she gave me some exercises, and she said, don't go back to training heavy or anything yet. Like, don't even do squats and deadlifts. Just hold off and get this right first, and because you don't want it to get worse. So the next kind of 6 to 8 weeks of that, I just pretty much did reformer Pilates, and again, just out walking and doing my physio exercises. So it was actually about 4 months till I got back to the gym.
Okay.
And I was, beforehand, again, I was kind of like, oh no, I'm going to bounce back. It's going to be all good, whatever. But the transition in my brain was like, you know what, like, no, right now, the number one thing is that I'm taking care of myself, I'm taking care of my baby, and my body is actually never going to be the same again. Like, that was a huge thing for me to get my head around, to be like, there is no pre-baby body after a baby. Like, your body's going to be different forever. Now, that doesn't mean it still can't be great, but it's changed. Like, for example, I can't remember exactly when it was, maybe 3 months after he was born, I was weight-wise on the scales, I was almost back to what I was before he was born. I was maybe a kilo heavier. And on the scales, if people were just looking at that, they would be like, wow, that's amazing. But I tell you, my body don't look the same, and that's okay. Like, it was me really coming to this place of acceptance and going, it's totally okay. This body's freaking amazing. It brought this kid into this world.
Yeah, that's right.
It grew it over 9 months. It's now nourishing it. I'm breastfeeding. What it's capable of is just freaking awesome. And just because it may not look how it did before doesn't mean it's not an amazing body, and it doesn't mean it's not going to be fit and strong again. It just might look different, fit and strong, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So are you now working with other mums?
Yeah, to some extent. So I've had, even before he was born, I've I have had mums,
Yeah.
doing my programs. I was running a couple of, actually last year I ran sort of a mums and bubs group. At the moment, besides just the local challenge I'm doing, I'm not specifically working with mums.
Okay.
I'm going to be putting together programs as I go through it, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I look back and I go, okay, I've done the pre-pregnancy, preparing for pregnancy stuff, the pregnancy stuff. Now I'm in the learning how to be mum and exercise. So that's going to be my kind of experiment. So I'm kind of working from where I've been. So at the moment, my actual focus for a program is a pre-pregnancy preparation program.
Okay, cool.
And I already have, from my experience in a program I wrote while pregnant, like a pregnancy program. I just haven't released it yet. And then probably in a year or two, I'll have like here's a program if you got kids running around at home and life's crazy. Because I feel a lot more like I can come from a place of experience if I do it that way, rather than write a program for something I haven't fully been through yet.
Yeah, because you obviously understand it a hell of a lot more than if you hadn't have been through it. All right, so do you see that as a niche that you could probably become an expert in?
Yeah, potentially postpartum, but the niche I'm actually going to start with is the pre-pregnancy niche. Well, I'm exploring it at the moment because I've been looking around, like doing a bit of research, and so far I haven't come across a program that incorporates preparing your body, your mind, and your home for pregnancy.
Okay.
So it would be holistic. So it would have an exercise program in it that is tailored towards preparing your body for the journey of having a baby, so pregnancy and birth, preparing your mind in terms of exploring fears around birth and your beliefs about birth and your perceptions of becoming a mum and and just kind of having a place to be able to air those and talk through them. And then your home as well. So, backing up, coming back to body, part of preparing your body is not just the exercise, of course, but it's like kicking some dirty eating habits out and getting some really clean eating happening leading into pregnancy, because more and more research is coming out showing that the health of the mum and even the dad pre-pregnancy has an impact on the health of the baby.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting. So so there doesn't seem to be anything out there. And so at the moment, I'm just doing some market research and it's looking good. It's looking like there could be a place for a program like that.
Can I ask how you're going about doing the market research?
Yeah, sure. So besides just Google, I've done some of that for sure.
Yep.
And, just typing in keywords, like pre-pregnancy program, pre-workout program, or preparing for pregnancy workouts, like all that stuff.
Yep.
Just seeing what comes up there. And mainly it's just been blogs. So that's what's been interesting. And then second to that, what I've done is on my social media, I just put it out there to my audience and said, are you planning to get pregnant in the next 1 to 3 years? And if so, do you mind me asking you a few questions in the DMs?
That's a great idea.
So I had about 15 girls in that first day respond.
Yep.
And what's interesting is because it's pre-pregnancy, a lot of people, they don't want the world to know that they're thinking of getting pregnant. A lot of people want to just kind of keep that to themselves.
Yep.
So it's been interesting that they're more than happy to talk to me privately, but not on comments and things in posts.
Yep.
So that's where the conversations have happened. So from there, I asked some questions, I collected data, I've just kept it in a spreadsheet. And then I have gone further from that now, and I'm putting together a free guide that will be released soon when I get time around Leo.
So that'll be something people can download from your website? Yeah,
it'll be something I can download from my website, and then they'll just be added to a segment of my email list that's specifically for pre-pregnancy interests. And so I'm creating this guide, but I'm also getting on the phone now. So my goal is to talk to at least 10 of these women.
Oh, wow. Something people don't do very often anymore, make a phone call rather than just going straight to Facebook or some platform like that. Yeah.
For sure. So I've already spoken to 4. So I've got another 6 to go till I just feel at least like I've really explored this with them. And so it's a lot, I spend 30 to 60 minutes with them on the phone.
Oh, wow. So have you got a bunch of kind of pre-questions that you...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And the where I got those from, a lot of them was, I don't know if you've heard of Amy Porterfield, online marketing guru.
No.
She's flipping amazing. So she's got, one of her podcasts is about how to test test your audience to see if your product is what they want, basically. So that's, I'm following just her questions there. Well, I've modified them, of course, because they're not exactly tailored to what I'm doing, but it's good because it just gives me an idea to ask them what life looks like, what their fears are around this topic, what their frustrations are, pain points, all that. And then also to say, well, if this kind of a product existed, what would be the ideal result you would get from it? And how much would you pay for a product like that?
Okay, that's a nice question to ask people. That you can get a sense of what kind of value it brings to them.
So that's sort of what I've been doing. It's been really positive so far, so I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice idea to establish yourself as the guru, I guess, in that field.
Yeah, it definitely was something that I just, I put a lot of intention before we were pregnant into preparing. So I went through specific things, like I saw a naturopath, I made specific nutritional changes. I changed the way I was training. I started getting into birth education, all that stuff. And I personally do feel it made a massive difference in my journey. I had an amazing pregnancy and an amazing birth. And of course, that's not guaranteed, but I think the more that you are prepared, the more likely it's going to be good. So I'm like, man, there's so many girls that I've talked to out there that just have no idea where to start and how to prepare. So again, niching down into this empowering women thing, this is just an area that I'm particularly passionate about.
Moving forward over the next 12 months, what does Unleash look like?
Yeah, look, the next 12 months, it's really unknown, I think, in a lot of ways, having a kid. But where I'd like to take Unleash is being able to serve women more and more through an online capacity with holistic programs, just getting my ebooks out there and group challenges that can really support change in their lives. And ideally, I'd love to looking at exploring this pre-pregnancy program, and in the next 12 months, it'd be awesome to have that up and running.
Yeah. I think that's a really great idea, that pre-pregnancy plan that you have. Yeah, really nice.
Cool. Yeah.
So if people want to get involved with you and follow your journey, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, look, I'm pretty active on Instagram. My Instagram's Unleash Fit Living.
Yep.
And my website's the same, unleashfitliving.com. That's where I blog. So I share recipes and workout tips and mindset strategy on there. Of course, joining my emails, you get personalized stuff in your email each week with that. And Facebook, I'm there too. So yeah, I'm everywhere. And the actual pre-pregnancy program at the moment, what I'm just doing for that is I've created a new little Instagram called Well Prepared for Pregnancy.
Oh, cool. Okay. I have to give that a follow.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's just sort of where I'm starting to just put out some hopefully helpful tips and content about thinking down those lines for now.
Yeah. So that's more like we were talking about before. It's another niche down from what you're doing. I think that's a really nice idea.
Yeah. So that's where I'm sitting. When Leo's sleeping, I get to post some content. Yep. Good. Send an email, write a blog.
Yeah, very good. Utilising the time well. All right. Well, Alicia, thank you very much for taking the time to have a chat to us. It's been a fascinating conversation. We really appreciate you giving us your time to do that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure, and you guys have been so awesome. Like getting onto having Unleashed tights for my clients, like they love them, and I've really enjoyed being connected with you guys.
Well, we should also thank you. I think you were one of our very early clients a few years ago, so thank you for taking a chance on us and supporting us.
Welcome.
Appreciate it very much. All right, we'll leave it there, and thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your day.
No worries. See you later.
If you'd like to be involved in an episode of the Hyperbeat podcast, send an email to info@hyperbeat.com.au or contact us through our social media channels.